Another day, another Final Fantasy VII Rebirth character breakdown. This time we are doing the man, the myth, the legend himself, the menace that is Sephiroth. And taking a cursory look over this article, Sephiroth's move list isn't really all that deep, but what he lacks in depth, he pretty much makes up for in extreme aggression and power. So if any of that sounds cool to you, or if you like what you hear, feel free to click the like button and subscribe to stay around for Final Fantasy and general gaming news from time to time. So taking a look at this article directly from Square Enix, they describe Sephiroth's combat style as pure aggression. And based on a lot of the previews that have come out from players, yeah, that's true. Sephiroth is going to be incredibly overpowered. High level, high damage, maxed out materia. He's going to be essentially God mode for a lot of people to get started earlier on in the game with that tutorial to kind of give you a taste of what your characters could potentially become by the end game. So one of the things that really stands out here is Sephiroth's basic combo attacks. It's not just a situation where you're mashing square all the time. You can get different finishers by using the triangle button based on how many combos you've done. So for example, doing square square triangle will lead to a different finisher instead of doing square 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 triangle. So you can vary up your finishers with Sephiroth, not just with his basic attacks, but you can do these after your abilities and your limit breaks too. So Sephiroth has a variety of options when it comes to his finisher. So it's not technically a Rekka like you would find in a fighting game, which would lead you to different branches of attacks. We're specifically focusing on different finishers based on your combo. Some of these finishers include the ability Pierce, which is a powerful strike, and Sword Dance, which is a final flourish that deals incredible damage to your enemy. So Sephiroth does have some depth when it comes to his basic attacks and finishers, which seems like it's going to add a lot of variety to him. Even though we're only going to play as him for a brief period of time in that calm flashback, well, as far as we know, we don't really know what the developers are planning. We might get a surprise good guy Sephiroth later on. That's just like corkboard red string theories that I've come up with, but you get the idea. Brief period of playtime, maximum power. Now, Sephiroth can also perform a ranged attack if the enemy is too far away, simply by holding the square button. And he also has a special stance, the retaliation stance, where you hold R1 and you can parry and counter attacks with the square button, which is very similar to Red 13, and his vengeance mode where he can hold R1 and counter attack with the square button. And I just want to point out something very funny here. The article goes on to call the X button the cross button, which I know was something super controversial that happened within the past year or two, where we all found out that the X button on the PlayStation controller is actually called the cross button. Even though we all grew up calling it the X button, I still call it the X button today. I just thought that was kind of funny that they threw that in there. But getting to those abilities, there's two of them. There's Zanshin, which sees Sephiroth send out a wave of projectile energy from his sword, and the infamous PTSD-inducing Hell's Gate, where Sephiroth descends from the sky and impales his enemy with his sword. Now, these two abilities in particular, Sephiroth always seems to have with him regardless of what game he's in. The Dissidia franchise in particular, these are two staple moves for him. Zanshin in particular was something I used a ton in Dissidia NT. It dealt really great stagger damage, and it was also great because if you hit your enemy with a wall splat, you could follow it up with a Zanshin just to kind of stun them further and then go in for like an HP attack. But it's a really great move, and seeing his moveset be very similar to how it is in Dissidia is also super cool. Now, of course, getting to his limit breaks, we have the very famous Octaslash, which is that 8 strike attack, similar to Cloud's Omnislash, but of course 8. So Sephiroth, again, always has that no matter what game he's in. And what's really satisfying is you hear it at the end of Remake and you hear it in Rebirth. Whenever Sephiroth activates Octaslash, there's like this little jingle that plays when he's about to strike, and it's super satisfying, and I think it's exclusive to Sephiroth. So I don't know why they did that, but it sounds super cool.
Let's dance, asshole! Endure.
The synergy abilities are those big flashy team-ups that do require ATB to perform. They deal a lot of damage and they look super cool. The synergy skills are, I believe, on the weaker side, but they don't require any ATB to use them, so you're kind of free to use them how you want to deal damage to the opponent. So that's super cool. And it encourages swapping party members and switching from character to character to find out which of these moves you like best and what are most effective against the enemy that you're fighting. So starting off first, we have Double Helix, which of course we've seen in the trailers where Cloud and Sephiroth team up. They have that pretty boy moment where Sephiroth's hair is flowing in the wind. It's like a shampoo commercial, and Cloud kind of has this derpy look on his face, but he's clearly stunned by how beautiful Sephiroth is in that moment. And what's really cool about this one, and this isn't unique to Sephiroth and Cloud, this is a basic thing that you will see with all synergy abilities. You'll get a buff after doing Double Helix. So Cloud's limit level goes up after doing this move, and Sephiroth will get unlimited MP, which is insane considering all of his materia is maxed out. So you do Double Helix, then you can follow up with a ton of high level spells to damage the opponent. So that's pretty overpowered. And getting to your synergy skill, Cloud and Sephiroth have Dual Blade Dance, where Sephiroth will team up with Cloud, or whoever his partner might be, to slash at the opponent 3 consecutive times with close ranged attacks. Which is very interesting wording to me. The fact that they say Sephiroth will team up with his partner and not specifically Cloud has me wondering, are there any other moments where we could potentially play as Sephiroth, or is it just a reference to what actually went down at Nibelheim? And of course, if you know, you know. So again, this is pretty much just scratching the surface with Sephiroth. I'm sure there's way more abilities that he can do that were not in this blog, but based on that brief bit of info, he's gonna be super powerful. What he lacks in depth, he makes up for in strength, but I'm really most intrigued by those standard combos and those finishers and being able to pick and choose between what finisher you want. That really adds a lot of variety to this type of gameplay, and it makes things fresh. That was an issue I had with Final Fantasy XVI, is that Clive just had one basic 4-hit combo. He didn't have pause combos, he didn't have Rekkas, which I thought would have freshened up gameplay and made things feel super unique. So in that game, you were essentially just kind of doing your 4-hit attacks and maybe using Torgal to launch the enemy in the air, or interchanging magic with physical attacks and then using your iconic abilities, which kind of got old after a while. So something as simple as pause combos or Rekkas, or even how you change your finisher, really makes things feel very fresh and fun. So with that being said, that's the video. Let me know in the comments down below, what did you guys think of this brief overview of Sephiroth, and how excited on a scale, let's do 1 to 7 for Final Fantasy VII, how excited are you to get your hands on Sephiroth and try out his OP skill set? I'm Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.